something to be said for bullets are flying at you and impacting around you, and you run towards them rather than cower behind. And a person doesn't know whether they're going to do it or not until they're in that situation. And I'll tell a really quick story. Was
Yeah.
we had to take out some people, and one of them was a major, and I was a lieutenant. So, a couple rungs above me. And he was a big guy, like a big, strong guy, and people looked up to him. And then there was a couple of other senior NCOs that were with him, and they were in a Humvee. And a Humvee, just think of it. I mean, anyway, I'll just Google it.
Yeah.
It's a Humvee, and on the top of it is a 50 cal. Google it. It's like the biggest machine gun that we have. It is the biggest machine gun we have. And bullets start flying. And I got this one guy, and he's really short. He's bulky, but he's a really short little guy. And that major had grabbed the back of his carrier vest and was like hiding below it, behind him, like using him as a human shield, literally. But he was grabbing him to yell at him, and he's yelling, saying, "You need to tell your lieutenant that we need to get out of here. We gotta get out of here now." And he's like a private first class. He's like about as low as you could be, and he's like, holy crap, I got this major holding on to me. I don't know am I supposed to really tell the lieutenant that we have to leave? And he's like, not doing his job because he's being literally physically grabbed. And I turn and I'm running, and I don't see that, but I'm running, and I turn and I look, and there's the Humvee with this senior level NCO. And I look at what cues me off on it is the machine gun is like kinked up in the air like it's shooting at an aircraft, except no one's behind it. And the only reason it's up like that is because the guy had dropped down into the Humvee and just let go of it. And it just automatically popped up. And I look over and I'm like, get on the 50. And I start yelling at him. Now, these guys are not my guy. They don't control them. And so I look over and I'm like, get on that 50. And he just looks at me and he just shakes his head like, no, and I'm like, what the hell? And then as I'm running, I look over and there's the major holding on to my private, and I'm like, get off it. Like, what are you doing? And the major turns like, we gotta go now. And I'm like, even though there's a rank thing, I was a senior guy on the ground because I was running things. But I'm like, until you see people go through this stuff. And by the way, is it cowardice? Yeah, but I don't know those people's backstory. I don't know what led them to that. I don't have enough time to go through it at the moment. I got crap to do. And so we do what we got to do, and everything worked out. But, you don't know how people are going to react, man.
Even as I'm listening to that story, I can't help, because that's what humans do. I laughed at one point. I judge and think like, oh, I can't believe that guy did that. But how could I say? I have no idea. And I think,
yeah,
maybe you're unlocking maybe it's obvious, but the value of that experience, of the experience part of it. Because I often say, I don't think I don't think any of us should trust our own minds. It doesn't mean we're always wrong, but we should never trust our mind implicitly, for all different reasons. We have all sorts of flaws, but it's very hard, given our egos, to accept negatives about ourselves. And it's only when you've been through an experience like that where you can't lie to yourself, and you have to face it and say, well, I'm not the person I thought I was. And maybe it's not as extreme as that situation, but whatever it is, maybe you're a parent and you don't take care of your kid the right way. It's through those experiences where you get to the truth. You get close to the truth. You get data points that give you actual evidence that say, shoot, this is actually who I am, or this is how I respond in this type of situation. And then you could do something about it, maybe, right? Not everybody can. It's hard still. But those experiences, maybe it's not so much about the knowledge or the wisdom that's gleaned from it. It's that proof. It's that data point that says, now I know what I'm dealing with, and I know I need to fix it or not. Whereas if you don't go through those experiences, we could spin stories in our heads all day long. If I was in that situation, I would have jumped on the 50 and I would have done this. Bullshit. Like, unless I was there, I have no idea. So I could tell myself whatever I want. But once you go through that experience, then it's like, okay, that's what it is. And now what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. And I need to make sure that I say this because we're putting this out to the world.
Sure.
I'm not Rambo, and I'm not some hero that's like the greatest. And I will tell you that I'm not going to say it on a recording, but I have a story that I'm very ashamed of. And there was no cowardice behind it, but it was an over aggressive type of thing. And I'm very ashamed. Like, I look back on my time there, and it was super successful. But I still have days that I sit back and like, frick, I can't believe I did that. I am so embarrassed that I did that. And you just have there's yeah, we're not all like perfect, right? And so and a lot of it comes down to training.
Mhm.
Those guys that were with me, they weren't infantrymen like we were. We were trained to run towards, bullets. We're trained to like run through an ambush. We're trained for that stuff. These guys have been, but not to
Different.
the extent that we
Different.
were.
Yeah.
So I can't fully fault them. I fault them for like yelling at my guy. I fault them for like trying to get me to do
Sure.
something that I shouldn't do. But we do that in the workplace too, right? Like
Mhm.
we you look at these different things that happen. I mean, just watch freaking Hulu or Netflix. There's all sorts of series out there, like things that are happening or have happened, like WeWork and things like that, right? And you're just
Yeah.
like, how in the hell can that happen? It happens
It
because we
happens.
have we have faults, each one of us, and then there's collective failures, right? And there's all sorts of things that happen.